Faramis just became way more reliable after this update, and the changes might look simple on paper, but in practice, they completely smooth out his entire playstyle and make his presence in teamfights far more consistent. The reduced mana cost on skill 2 alone is already a huge quality of life buff, because this ability is the core of his entire gameplay. Whether you're poking, helping allies rotate, clearing waves faster for macro advantage, or just collecting souls to scale, you rely on this skill non-stop. And before, the 75 to 125 mana cost made him drain his mana bar way too quickly, forcing him back to base or making him delay engages because he simply couldn't afford to cast everything. Now, with 45 to 70 mana cost instead, Faramis can stay on the map much longer, help more skirmishes early, and have more presence in rotations because he's no longer spending half his mana just to stay active. This change alone raises his consistency massively, and it suddenly feels like you're free to actually play the hero without thinking, can I cast this without going OOM after 2 fights? Every rotation gets smoother, every early fight feels more doable, and every chase or disengage becomes available whenever you need it. That's a huge buff for a hero that relies on tempo.
And then there's the adjustment on skill 3, the removal of the force wing. This is honestly even bigger than the mana buff, because it directly affects how quickly he can protect his team. Faramis' ultimate has always been incredibly strong, but the delay before it activated sometimes made it feel clunky, like your team got bursted a split second before the HP regen kicked in. By removing that force wing, the ult becomes more responsive, smoother, and faster, which means that in chaotic teamfights, you can instantly give your allies that safety buffer they need. This is especially important in the current meta where burst heroes can delete a squishy in under a second. With this change, Faramis gets to counter that burst more effectively and more reliably. It also means your timing window for reacting to assassins, divers, and chain CC becomes wider, because you no longer have to precast with perfect anticipation. You can actually use your ultimate reactively at the exact moment your team needs it. That makes your presence in clutch fights way more impactful. This also increases his power in grouped fights and contesting objectives. When you're defending or fighting over Lord, your team can confidently commit, knowing that your shielded HP zone activates without delay. You can save teammates who get caught out by a surprise engage, you can turn a losing fight into a stable one within seconds, and you can push forward without worrying that your ultimate arrives too late. In long fights especially, this responsiveness is game-changing because Faramis thrives in extended combat, where his soul mechanics, healing, and sustain add up over time. The devs clearly wanted to make him feel smoother and more supportive, and these adjustments do exactly that.
Another important thing this patch does is make Faramis much stronger as a utility support. With lower mana dependency, he can help his allies constantly without falling behind, and his ultimate's faster responsiveness turns him into a real safety tool that gives aggressive heroes the confidence to dive. Dive comps, skirmish comps, early mid snowball comps, every one of them benefits massively from having a Faramis who can react instantly instead of waiting through an animation lock. This change pushes him toward a much higher pick rate, especially in ranked games, where tempo and map pressure matter more than pure burst damage. He becomes more beginner-friendly because his ultimate is easier to use correctly, and he becomes more high-level friendly because experienced players can now execute faster plays without being slowed down by delays.
Alright, let's dive into the build.
Starting with Arcane Boots, this is the perfect opening move for Faramis because it gives him plus 40 movement speed, which is crucial for positioning in fights, escaping dangerous situations, and making those clutch rotations across the map. On top of that, you gain plus 15 magic power and plus 10 magic penetration, which immediately makes your early skills and your basic combos hit much harder. Movement speed in the early game can't be overstated for Faramis, because it allows him to roam effectively as a support, respond to ganks, and create pressure without constantly risking overextension. With this mobility boost, he's able to reach allies and set up for plays before the enemy can react. Next up is Glowing Wand. This item is phenomenal for Faramis because it stacks multiple layers of utility and damage simultaneously. It provides 75 magic power and 400 HP, which enhances both his offensive and defensive capabilities. That extra plus 5% movement speed further reinforces his ability to traverse the map quickly.
but the true value lies in the unique passives. Scorch deals an extra 1% of the target's max HP per second as magic damage over 3 seconds whenever you deal magic damage. This means that Faramis' sustained poke and combo damage are exceptionally strong against tanky targets or heroes with large health pools. Lifebane reduces the target's shield and HP regeneration to 60% for 3 seconds after taking damage, which synergizes perfectly with teamfights, where healing or shield-dependent heroes are present. Essentially, Glowing Wand turns Faramis from a simple utility mage into a magic disruptor, forcing enemies to think twice before relying on their natural tankiness or sustain.
Lightning Truncheon is next, and this item is a critical spike in Faramis' damage output. It grants plus 75 magic power, plus 400 mana, and plus 10% cooldown reduction, allowing him to cast his abilities more frequently and maintain pressure in prolonged fights. Its unique passive, Resonate, makes your skills echo every 6 seconds, dealing an additional 170 plus 85% total magic power magic damage to all enemies in range. For Faramis, this means that he can chain his combos with incredible efficiency, applying substantial area damage without additional effort. The echo damage synergizes especially well with teamfights, letting him poke multiple enemies while staying safe, and combining it with the burn from Glowing Wand ensures that both frontline and backline targets feel constant pressure.
Then we have Wishing Lantern, which is a powerhouse for late-game sustain and damage amplification. This item provides plus 75 magic power, plus 400 mana, and plus 10% cooldown reduction, keeping Faramis' abilities consistently available. The unique passive, Butterfly Goddess, summons an attacking entity every time you deal 800 magic damage to an enemy hero, dealing magic damage equal to 8% of their current HP. This means that in extended skirmishes, even if you're slightly behind, Faramis contributes constant pressure. Butterfly Goddess works beautifully with Lightning Truncheon's echo damage and Glowing Wand's burn, ensuring that any prolonged fight will see consistent chip damage on priority targets. It also gives Faramis a pseudo-split pushing ability, because the summoned attacks can help clear waves or harass towers indirectly.
Blood Wings is an absolute must-have for survivability and scaling in the late game. Plus 90 magic power is already a substantial boost to his skills, but the unique passive, Guard, takes Faramis to a whole new level defensively. You gain an 800 plus 100% total magic power shield that regenerates 20 seconds after taking damage. The shield also grants plus 30 movement speed while active and a burst of plus 150 movement speed for 1 second after it breaks. What this means is that Faramis can enter or disengage from fights with confidence, knowing he has a buffer that scales with his power, making it nearly impossible to burst him down without proper focus. The synergy with Arcane Boots, Wishing Lantern, and Lightning Truncheon ensures that his shield is constantly active in prolonged engagements, giving both himself and allies a powerful frontline presence.
Finally, Divine Glaive amplifies all of this with plus 60 magic power and a unique plus 40% magic penetration. The Spellbreaker passive gives you 0.1% extra magic penetration for each point of enemy magic defense, capped at 20%. This is crucial for dealing with tanky, high-defense enemies in the mid to late game, because Faramis' abilities will cut through shields and high magic resist values efficiently. Combined with Glowing Wand, Lightning Truncheon, and Wishing Lantern, Divine Glaive ensures that even heavily fortified enemies are vulnerable to your ultimate and combo chains. It effectively rounds off the build by solidifying Faramis' role as both a threat and a support in every scenario, guaranteeing that his damage scales appropriately into the late game while maintaining his utility.
In gameplay, this build makes Faramis a hybrid of sustained poke, area damage, and defensive support. Early on, Arcane Boots gives him map presence, allowing him to roam and assist lanes while maintaining safety. By the mid-game, Glowing Wand and Lightning Truncheon allow him to heavily influence teamfights with continuous burn damage, echo bursts, and shield reduction on high-priority targets. Wishing Lantern provides additional harassment and damage output, scaling into late-game pressure alongside Blood Wings, which ensures Faramis can survive extended fights while keeping allies protected. Divine Glaive then guarantees that no matter how tanky the enemy becomes, your damage remains relevant, piercing through their defenses and making your ultimate far more threatening. Each item synergizes perfectly with his kit, allowing you to constantly pressure, sustain, and protect without feeling underwhelming at any stage.
As a solo rank player, I think Faramis is in a really good spot right now. He has a lot of tools that make him impactful in fights, but you do need teammates who can keep up so you don't waste your ultimate. Timing it correctly is everything, and if your allies aren't ready to follow up, you might find your big plays falling flat. That's why map awareness is so important. Faramis isn't a hero you can just spam in the middle of a fight without thinking. You need to know where your enemies are, which lanes need help, and when it's safe to engage. Being a support type hero, he thrives when he can set up his team, peel for carries, and manipulate fights with well-timed ultimates. So understanding positioning is key. So overall, Faramis is a very strong pick right now. Solo rank might be a bit unpredictable, but his kit is designed to be rewarding when used thoughtfully. In trios or full teams, he becomes an absolute powerhouse. Communication, timing, and map awareness amplify his strengths. And even when the situation seems tough, a well-placed ultimate can completely change the course of the game. Playing him effectively isn't just about landing skills. It's about reading the map, reading your teammates, and creating opportunities that your team can capitalize on. And once you get used to that flow, you start realizing just how much control Faramis can exert over every fight, every lane, and every objective in the game.
I think Faramis really shines when you have a support-type hero, like Florin or Minotaur on your team. They provide extra protection, healing, or crowd control, letting Faramis use his ultimate and abilities safely. With them, your combos hit harder, your plays are safer, and you can turn fights that might otherwise feel impossible. So, if you haven't tried Faramis in this new update yet, now's the perfect time to give him a shot. He's feeling really strong, and there are so many ways to use his abilities creatively. And if you've already played him, I really want to hear what you think. Share your experiences, your favorite combos, or even the crazy plays you pulled off. Let's see who's been mastering him and who's just getting started. Your feedback always makes the discussion more fun, and it helps everyone learn new ways to play Faramis better.
So if you've made it this far, you're a real supporter. Drop the word Faramis buff in the comments so I know you watched the whole video. I really appreciate all the support you've given so far, but I've noticed that many of you watch the videos without subscribing. It would mean a lot if you hit that subscribe button, because it helps me keep making more content and ensures you don't miss any future updates. Don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts about Faramis in the comments. I'm always excited to hear what you think. Thank you again for all the support, and I'll see you in the next video.